The dreamer is laying there in his dorm, mindlessly scrolling Instagram. Right now, he's actually supposed to be receiving a lecture for his engineering class, but he decided to skip school today. And so he's laying there on a bed when he gets a message from one of his friends. And so the dreamer got invited to a college party. And so the dreamer goes to the party and he gets absolutely wasted. And so the dreamer is laying there stuck in his bed, hungover. He dreams about having real friends that actually care about his health, that would do things like going on adventures or going to the gym. But the dreamer keeps telling himself that he's gonna change tomorrow. And this is the doer. The doer used to be like the dreamer, but he found new friends. Instead of going out to parties, he goes on camping adventures with his friends. The doer's friends don't see him as a partner in pleasure. They see him as someone they can connect with and grow with and learn from. And they see him as a leader. The doer doesn't wait until tomorrow to live the life that he wants. He starts today. You might think that you live a boring life because you don't do enough crazy and exciting activities. But what if I told you that that's not actually the root cause of the problem? A few years ago, before the COVID lockdown occurred, me and my family went to eat at a restaurant. And so I remember getting to this fancy restaurant and walking in. And as we walked in, my father made reservations earlier. And so they brought us straight to the table. And I remember going to sit down. And as soon as I sat down and our family started talking and having conversations, I remember reaching into my pocket and I pulled out my cell phone. And I can remember my father's face when I did that. He looked slightly disappointed. But the thing was, we were at a fancy restaurant and it was a special event. And so he didn't really want to show that and he didn't really want to make it a scene. And so my entire family is there. They're all having conversations, enjoying, and I'm listening kind of to the conversations, like half listening to the conversations, but I'm also playing a video game on my phone. And so I remember they'd ask me questions, and as they're speaking to me, I'd be kind of like this, kind of playing the game on my phone, and I'd be like, yeah, yeah, I remember that, yeah, oh, okay. And that was what happened for the first hour and a half. Literally, I spent an hour and a half instead of speaking and connecting and enjoying such a precious time and a precious moment with my family. That's what I ended up doing. And so during this, the waiter came up and he asked for what we wanted. And honestly, I was so distracted at this point, I didn't even hear what he said, or I didn't even notice the rest of my family already knew what they wanted. And I was still there playing my game. And so he went around the table and then he asked me last what I wanted. And I was kind of sitting there confused because I was like, oh, I don't even know what to get. I don't even know what to order. And the rest of my family ordered. So I opened the menu really quick and I ordered the first thing I saw. And I remember it was I think it was fettuccine alfredo, some sort of pasta. And I can kind of see the disgust and the disappointment in the waiter towards me because he saw that my family was enjoying the time. He saw that my family really wanted to enjoy this beautiful time. And he kind of sees this young kid, this little kid stuck scrolling on his phone. And so 15 to 30 minutes went by until our food came out, and that entire time I was still stuck on my phone. And so it literally wasn't until the food came out that I actually decided to put down the phone. Even though I didn't put it in my pocket, I put it just down on the table. And so there the food was in front of me and I ate all of it. And then I was the first one to finish because I wanted to get back on my phone. And so I finished, and then I went straight back to it, bro. That's how bad it was. But here's the thing. As soon as I went to finish my food, and I started to reach for my phone, my sister was sitting right next to me. She looked at me and she said, "Can you please stop?" And it was at that exact moment that I realized that I had an addiction. It literally took me years before that moment to realize just how much time I was spending on these apps, on these games, on social media, and not time living with my family and enjoying the present moment. And it's literally insane to me how so many people say that they're not addicted when they use their phone hours every single day. And it's crazy to think that we can go out into public places with our families, with our friends, and still end up on those phones instead of enjoying the moment and living life. And this is something that I see relatively common these days. I go out to social places and social events and I see people stuck on their phones. I see people who can't get off of them. And nowadays, instead of people having meaningful conversations, we end up texting someone that's in the other room. We end up texting someone that's right in front of us instead of actually speaking to them and enjoying the conversation. And you might not think that communication is important in person because we can still text each other, we can still call each other. But the thing is, in-person communication is the deepest form of communicating with someone that you could possibly have. I don't know about you, but when I get a text with an emoji, it means so much less to me than someone expressing how they truly feel in that moment. And so we are losing the art of communication. We're losing the art of being able to understand each other. And that means we're going to have so much more misunderstandings about each other in the future. And we're not actually going to be able to understand each other. And so it was in that moment when she stopped me and I looked at her and I saw her face that I realized that I needed to put this thing down. I needed to do something to separate myself from this evil distraction. And so I remember putting it back into my pocket and looking over at her and seeing just her face light up and seeing how happy she was after I put it down. And so it was after that that I realized that communicating with your family in real life, communicating with your family off of screens and in person, and communicating with people in general in person is so much more fulfilling, and it means so much more. And there's so much more depth involved than when you text or call somebody. Humans were literally made to communicate in person. Being able to read them, being able to understand other people, being able to communicate with them your emotions and the way you feel, but also knowledge and all the things that you've learned. And so we've undergone millions of years of biology to reach the point where we're at today. But the thing is, we're stuck not even communicating anymore. And what do you think that does to your body? What do you think it does to your mental health when you can't even have real world connections? If you want to be able to communicate with people better, and you want to be able to communicate at social events better with friends and family, something that I learned that helped me so much was just shutting down my phone before I went to any of these events. That way, before I went to any social events, I'd already be used to not really having my phone and I'd be in that social mode versus going to the social event. And right before I went, I was using my phone the entire time. And it's like, now it feels kind of weird to communicate with people. So if you shut down your phone before any social event, you're going to be pretty bored, right? If you're bored, that means you're probably going to be talking to more people in person, right? You're not going to be stuck in your room. And so I recommend that you literally shut your phone off before any social event and just don't even use it. And start talking to people. Maybe, hello, how are you doing? Start talking to friends and family or people around you before you go to that event. So by the time you get to that event, you're already in a pretty social mood. You're already pretty used to speaking to people. And so it's not going to feel weird when you speak to people. And that way you're just going to be able to connect so much better with your friends or with your family. And so when you do this, you're literally going to feel so much happier. And the people are going to feel happier because they're going to see that you're present. They're going to see that you're in the moment and you're actually listening to what they're saying. Instead of like having a million thoughts in your head, you're just there listening to what they have to say and giving your thoughts and knowledge on everything that's happening and everything that's going on with their life, but also your life. And so you can just see how much deeper your connections are going to be with these people and how much more they will literally like you because you're able to not be distracted, to not think about a million other things while they're trying to tell you something important. Because here's the thing with people. A lot of people want to be seen. A lot of people want to be noticed. But when we're too busy in our heads thinking a million different things or we're scrolling on our phones, it's like we don't notice them and they want to say something. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. And you probably feel this way too. And so if you can shut those things down and just be present in the moment and get into that social mode and start speaking to people and start establishing those deep connections with people, then they're literally going to like you more because they're going to feel seen. They're going to feel heard when you're there, just actively listening to what they say. And also when you explain your experiences and all the things that you learned. And I want to make you aware that these companies that are literally making video games on your phone so they can take your attention. These companies that are making social media apps that are highly addictive and based off of formulas that keep you going on those apps. All those companies care about is literally running ads in front of your face and making you click on things that you don't even need. These evil companies, they don't care about your life. They don't care about how much time you're spending in the real world. They only care about how much time you're spending on their app. And so they will literally do anything to keep you on their app. Anything. That includes hyper-stimulating content, sounds and notifications that are hyper addictive, and colors that are known to keep you on those apps. And so as technology progresses, these things are going to be so much more addictive than they were before. And so we really need to make sure that these things don't take control of our lives, that they don't take control of our purpose and our mission and our fulfillment and our communication with other people. And so if you're tired of these things taking control of your life, if you're tired of these things taking control of our entire generation, and you don't want to see tablet kids being raised in the future kids that are stuck on this hyper-stimulating content with bad mental health because they can't avoid it, then make sure you go down right now and subscribe, because we need to change this generation. We need to change the world, because if we allow these addictions to control us, if we allow these addictions to control our friends and our families, it means we'll lose countless hours to meaningless activities. It means we'll keep buying things that we don't actually need and cluttering up our houses with objects. It means that we'll lose focus on the things that we actually want to achieve with our lives, our goals, and our mission. And it means that we'll be so much easier manipulated by these evil companies to spend more and more and more and more time watching irrelevant content and gaining irrelevant knowledge that we don't actually need. There's so much garbage and irrelevant information floating around on the internet, but there's also incredible amounts of information and knowledge that are stored there. And so the way that you use the internet is up to you. The way that you use your cell phone is up to you. Are you going to let these distractions take control of your life, or are you going to make a difference in this world? And so if you're serious about eliminating these distractions and taking control of your life, in the description there's a link to my free school community, and there you can interact with me and like-minded individuals. And I'll also be releasing free courses that only people inside of that community can access. Make sure you leave a comment down below what your story is and what you've been through and how you plan to change. My name is Justin, and remember, you deserve the consequences of your actions.